Becoming a stepmom might be the most offensive thing I've ever done. Like, sometimes I'll be talking to a mom and then I'll mention that I'm a stepmom and I'll watch her entire face change. Like, she is no longer just talking to this nice lady. She is now looking at her worst nightmare. And most moms eventually realize that we're not just like home-wrecking witches, but this commenter right here represents the worst reactions that stepmoms get. Go ahead and tap to read through this thread if you dare. I'll cover some of the highlights, starting with this little gem, which we get all of the time, which is that we don't have a right to an opinion in our own family as a stepmom. We soon learn that this mother believes that child support is not just for a child's needs, but apparently so that both homes can be equal, so that there's no favoritism. And when I disagreed on what child support is actually used for, she called me a pick-me, a deadbeat, and here praised that I get knocked up and abandoned. Golly, do I sure have some bad news for her. Then, after suggesting I should make myself useful and make resource videos for dads to get 50-50, which, like, LOL, why does she think I have this username? She proceeds to disqualify another stepmom's opinion, even though the stepmom is the mom full-time. She proceeds to tell this woman that she should not be making decisions about the children in her own home, even though she has them full-time. She even says that her husband is failing his kids by not forcing her to obey his ex's rules. Plus, just because you're the kid's original spawn point doesn't mean you're always right. If we followed my stepson's mom's rules, he as a 13-year-old would still not be allowed to play with toy swords because they make kids violent, and wouldn't be able to ride his bike across the street. So yeah, I'm not following those. Then, similar to her prayers that I get knocked up and abandoned, she wishes divorce and estrangement from her stepchild on this woman. All this before just straight up admitting that she is bitter, and then she starts doing what all insecure people do and starts bragging about how great she thinks she is. These are the kinds of women who make it so hard to be a stepmom, who make it so hard for single fathers to find love after a split, and who make it so hard for their kids to have happy parents. Like, I'm not some bad guy. It's not like I dreamed as a child of growing up and one day taking some woman's man and child and then crushing her into insignificance. I'm just a lady who happened to fall in love with a single guy who happened to have a kid. And here's the kicker, whether you split up with the father of your child or not, there's nothing you can do to prevent your child from having strong, impactful maternal roles in their lives. My parents are still married and I have tons of moms, my friends' moms, my coworker moms, my mother-in-law. So what I recommend if your child ever ends up with a stepmom in their lives is to maybe try loving her, because some of us really are here to help you. Because if you're shitty to us, but then you make it this easy to annoy you, you're gonna have a bad time.
So for anyone concerned about where their child support money might be going, according to the USDA, the average cost of raising a child per month is $27.60.
No, it's not. As a parent, no, it's not. But even according to the USDA, no, it's not. This information from the USDA says that it actually costs about $1,300 a year, which is closer to $1,100 a month.
This amount is also a very modest amount.
Again, no, it's not. The average American makes about $5,500 a month. $2,700 is half of that.
Child support, by definition, is a reimbursement.
Yeah, that may be one definition you found, but you know that's not how child support is actually calculated, right? It's a formula calculated on income versus timeshare with the child, which, by the way, men are denied a whole hell of a lot of. Never once have I heard child support calculated based off of what was actually spent.
So for any deadbeat paying less than this per month in child support, I'd think twice before you bitch again.
Wow, so considering the average child support order is about $300 a month, he just called about all single dads deadbeats. And he just shit on all the moms who aren't spending that much on their kids every month. I mean, shit, by his definition, I'm a deadbeat, and no, honey. So I don't know where he got these numbers, but the USDA actually puts the cost of a child at about $1,100 per month. And assuming it's not the father's job to pay 100% of that, that puts his share more realistically at about $550 a month. Now, one thing people always seem to forget is that a man's contributions to the cost of raising his child cannot be solely based around what he's paying to his ex. Dad also has to pay for the cost of the child during his own time. Everyone always wants to bring up, oh, well, mom has rent and utilities to pay for too. As if dad doesn't. In addition to paying child support, dad also has to provide clothing at his own house, food at his own house, medicine at his own house. You can't just take the assumed half of the cost of raising the child and say, okay, all that goes to mom. You're not leaving the dad with anything left for his time with the child. Now, I do agree with JD that you don't need to be worrying about what she spends the child support on unless you have genuine concerns of abuse or neglect. For your own peace of mind, just put it on auto pay and don't even think about it. However, he's wrong on everything else because this idea that parents are deadbeats if they're not paying these thousands of dollars a month for their kids is unrealistic and cruel. It reinforces these toxic ideas that you have to be rich to be a parent and that as a man, your worth is tied directly to how much money you provide. It's a shame because I feel like this man has not seen that many positive masculine role models in his life and that this is all a response to internalized misinjury. The idea that most men do not want to be amazing fathers and be there for their kids and are just trying to dodge a bill is a trauma response, not reality. And reinforcing systems that turn men into financial slaves that keep them working 80 hours a week instead of in home with their children is reinforcing these toxic cycles. Listen up, King. Fuck these haters. They're gonna call you a deadbeat no matter what. So just remember, it's not about the money spent, it's about the time spent. They can stay mad. Hey, family court lawyers, stop blaming everything on dad and stepmom. I get that's probably a fun way to crack jokes and build rapport with your mom clients, but it is terrifying to see you guys actually on TikTok openly admitting that you typecast cases based on stereotypes. I want to address this video posted by a divorce attorney. And this isn't her only video that's made me go, huh? Because she's also made a video where she said that step-parents shouldn't discipline their stepkids. Yeah, sorry, the kid lives in my house for half the week. I'm allowed to tell him to turn off the Nintendo. There are a lot of really annoying stereotypes that the only reason dads ever file for modification of parenting time is to lower their child support. And those assumptions are keeping good fathers out of their kids' homes because y'all would rather see a paycheck than see your child with their father. And this lawyer manages to drive home every single one of those assumptions. Number one, starts asking to see the kid more on weekdays. Like right off the bat, this woman is saying if he wants to see his kids more, look out. He's just trying to get out of child support. And this used to boil my freaking blood hearing lawyers saying this, especially about my husband, because my husband has told his son's mom several times that he is always willing to pay for half of anything regarding his son, and that he has no interest in lowering child support. He has never filed to lower child support, not even when he was unemployed. The only reason my husband had to file for more parenting time was because mom kept taking it away and was trying to keep summer breaks to every other weekend. I'm sorry, son is 13 and we live half a mile away. Every other weekend during summer break is stupid, and a judge agreed. 2, starts offering alternatives to childcare. You really gotta go and watch this video and actually see the words leave her mouth, but she actually tries to position a dad recommending that either he or a grandparent watching the child instead of the daycare as a bad thing. Why is the dad demonized in this situation for just trying to lower child support, but the mom's not demonized for clearly alienating the child from the dad and the grandparents and sending them to daycare instead when they're perfectly available? I'll take. And 3, he has a new girlfriend. Bet the moms love that one. First of all, we could be around for years and y'all will still call us new girlfriends. You're assuming that the only reason that a man would want to see his kids more is to impress a new girlfriend. And I get that that happens, but what if, hear me out, what if he's not the problem? Personally, one of the main reasons I was attracted to my husband was because of how much time he was spending with his kid. But what if, as soon as the new girlfriend does come around, mom starts restricting access and withholding the child? Oh, are we going to pretend that doesn't happen? Because I know a lot of dads who are seeing their kids regularly, and the second they dare to move on, that time got snatched. And when she is criticized on these things, she very professionally responds, "New wife alert. Repeat after me. A man filing for more time with his kids is not an attack on mom. A woman becoming a stepmother to a child is not an attack on mom." And then they have to hear all the time, "Why aren't you fighting more for your kids?" Okay, then stop making them the bad guy when they do. This is a stitch of a video called "He Bought Food for His Child But Not the Other Kids," Part 3. So many of you tagged me in this. So obviously that was a 3-part series, so I'm going to give you my Spark Notes version of it before I give you my response to it, which might surprise you because it'll probably only be like half of what you expect. So the recording starts with dad pulling up to the mom's house. She's recording, and he's got some McDonald's for his son. Reason why is totally unclear, but if I had to guess based on the recording, it seems like mom probably messaged him and said, "Hey, your son needs some dinner," and knowing that he would oblige. So like I said, he shows up with Mickey D's for his son, but here's the fatal flaw. She has 4 kids total. So she has 3 other kids. She proceeds to berate him for only bringing enough dinner for his son. So like I said, my response to this might surprise you. I am the Dadvocate, so of course we stand a man who brings his son dinner when his son needs food. However, as a co-parent, you know you can't bring your kid McDonald's in front of his siblings. Like, of course it is not his job to provide for the 3 children she had with other men. However, it is his job to help his son not get his ass beat by the 3 other kids he lives with half the time. If you grew up with siblings, you know how pressed you would get when your brother or sister got something you didn't. Now, this is where I give the dad credit because he did offer to take his son away to eat the dinner, but mom wasn't having it. So who's in the wrong here? Mom, for setting him up like this, for setting the kids up like this, for filming this whole thing for clout. And I think he handled this very well, especially the part where he simply calls her silly while she's calling him every slur in the book. And I hope he doesn't fall for any more of her traps. Now, personally, I'm going to be real with you guys. I know for a fact that if my stepson's mom were to text my husband and say, hey, look, we need a little bit of help with dinner, we can't afford it right now, my man would go over there with a home-cooked meal, not just for his son, but for the whole family, including her husband and her kids. But that's just the kind of man he is. That's why I married him. So while I agree that the mother was 1000% in the wrong here, I will say that when you're co-parenting, you do have to be very mindful of the different family dynamics at play because the rules change a little bit when it comes to the best interest of your child. Fathers and mothers alike, no matter how many kids your ex pops out, they are still your child's siblings, not their half-siblings, they're siblings. And showing love to them is showing love to your child. Now, this dude should definitely save these videos for custody because I know she thinks that she exposed him, but what she really exposed is that he is capable of feeding all of his children and she is capable of feeding none of them. These things have a way of backfiring, don't they?